communicating with your children. Is it a problem? In today's world, you always see people who have kids around them and like the grocery store or just in public places that are having trouble dealing with them or communicating with them. Their kids are throwing a fit and they don't know what to do. And I'm here to tell you that there is things that you can do to build better relationships with your children where they will listen to you and not throw fits or misbehave in public. So communication. I'm using quotes today from the book Between Parent and Child by Dr. Haim G. Ganot. He's a leading expert in child psychology. And he says, a child's feelings must be taken seriously even though the situation is not very serious. So to us, situations where children have bad behavior may not be that serious, like their balloon goes up in the sky and you just tell them, well, we'll get another balloon, it's fine. Or a kid takes their toy and you say, well, go get another toy, or something like that. But to them, it's serious. It's very traumatic for them, and they think, that's my toy and that kid took it. And we just need to take that time to think about it in the child's perspective and think, to them, this is serious, and we need to sit down with them and maybe talk to them and see how they really feel about it and help them to understand how they feel about it. So this brings us to reflecting a child's feelings back to them to help them understand. So he says, when children feel understood, their loneliness and hurt diminish. When children are understood, their love for the parent is deepened. A parent's sympathy serves as emotional first aid for bruised feelings. So just as a parent is there for when a child needs physical first aid, like they bump their head, scrape their knee, we should also be there for when our children are sad or need help understanding why they're feeling the way they are. And as children, they haven't learned as much as adults, so they don't know how to describe their feelings like we do. They know the simple, sad, or happy feelings. So we can say to them, that child took your toy, that's really upsetting for you, or that really frustrates you, that really makes you mad. And they can say, yes, that really makes me mad that that other kid took my toy. And a lot of the times, once they feel that they're understood, they'll go off and find another toy, or they'll feel all better about it because they know that we understand how they're feeling, and it serves as their band-aid for their hurt feelings, because we as parents are their emotional first aid. The other thing that parents like to do, especially when your kids start to get older, is lecture. And lecturing, as good as it seems, really doesn't help anything. Dr. Ganot says, the tragedy of such communication lies not in the lack of love, but in the lack of respect. Not in the lack of intelligence, but in the lack of skill. So when lecturing your child, you're not really respecting them or their feelings or their thoughts. You're just telling them exactly how you think, what you think they should do. And then a lot of the times when they try to talk back to you, you say, I know better than you, or you just need to listen to me, or something like that, and we're not respecting what they want to say. So we could use the reflecting child's feelings back to them, but this takes skill. We need to use our listening skills, and when your child comes to you and says, so-and-so took my toy, you don't just start lecturing them about how we need to share, or how if somebody takes your toy, you could just find another one, or something like that. We need to say something like, that child took your toy, that made you really mad, and then this child's going to say, yes, that made me really mad, and then we listen to them. We say, that child took your toy, how does that make you feel, or what do you want to do about that, and kind of bring them into the problem solving. And this will help your kid not only be able to problem solve for themselves, but also to be able to understand how they're feeling and be able to describe that when they feel that feeling again. So also to do with lecturing, when children are in the midst of strong emotions, they cannot listen to anyone. They want to understand what is going on inside them, what they are feeling at that particular moment. So when you're really, really mad, when someone tries to tell you to calm down, it usually either makes you more mad or you just don't even listen to what they're saying. You're just so mad, you're caught up in the emotion that really anything anybody says to you isn't going to matter at that particular moment. So if your kid comes to you and is just really mad about something, you can say, you know, go take a little time to calm down, and then I'll come talk to you about it. And they can go sit down somewhere and just calm down, so that then you go talk to them and ask how they're feeling, and you use your listening skills and the reflecting your child's feelings back to them to be able to really help them deal with their emotions and deal with that feeling that they have. So the next topic is the power of words, and this goes along with communication. So words can inspire and words can destroy. Choose yours well. Everyone knows the saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you, which is totally wrong, because if you get hit with a stick or a stone, you'll get a bruise. It heals, it goes away, you forget about it. But most of us still remember things that people said to us when we were really little and has stuck with us for the rest of our lives, negative or positive. Most of the time it's the negative things that stick with us, and we really start to believe those things. If somebody called you stupid one time or something like that, we really believe it, and we may struggle with that our entire lives. So really, when communicating with your children, you need to understand that your words have power, and you need to choose your words carefully. So one thing that goes along with the power of words is our praise. And Dr. Ganot says praise consists of two parts: what we say to children and what they in turn say to themselves. So every time we praise a child, they're going to think in their mind, oh, I color really good, if you've just praised how they color, or oh, I share really well, if you just praise how good it is that they shared their toy with a friend, or something like that. So we really need to be careful when speaking to children that what we say to them can stick with them for the rest of their lives. They'll remember it, and they'll say back to themselves the things that we say to them. And our words can either lift them up and make them better, or tear them down and make them think that bad about themselves. Alright, so after we praise children, what they conclude about themselves in response to our words, children later restate silently to themselves. So I think even adults do this. When somebody says something to you that makes you feel good, you will later remember it and say, oh yeah, I gave a really good speech, or, you know, I drew something really well and somebody said that to me, and then you remember it later. So kids will do this too. So the things we say to our kids, they'll remember later, and they'll say it back to themselves and say it back to themselves. So wouldn't you rather that thing be positive and then be really excited about that you said that, rather than something negative that they're going to remember their entire lives? If we want our children to grow up feeling confident and self-assured, we need to take every opportunity to emphasize the positive and avoid demeaning comments. So again, when praising your children, we want our kids to be confident in themselves, and this goes back to everything you say to your kid needs to be positive, needs to lift them up and make them feel good about themselves. So we really, really need to be careful with what we say to children. So, coming back, words have power to build and energize, or to frighten and devastate. So I would challenge you to be careful what you say to your kids, and make sure what you're saying to them lifts them up and makes them feel good about themselves. It doesn't tear them down and make them think that they're not good enough. And the last thing that Dr. Ganot says is, like surgeons, parents too need to learn special skills to become competent in coping with the daily demands of children. Children can be tough to handle, and they have their moments where they're just being stubborn or testing the limits, and instead of getting angry at them or punishing them or spanking them or anything like that, we need to use our communication skills and use intelligence when dealing with children. And I challenge you to always be building communication bonds between your children so that you can have open, honest communication with them, and this will help you to be able to teach them. Thank you for listening to my presentation.